My name is John Cottrell of MBODY Yoga, and I just want to invite you and welcome you to Soft Flow. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. This is a perfect class if you've never done yoga before, if you're a true beginner, or maybe you're just returning to a practice after being away from the practice for a little bit. And in this practice, we move slowly, we take our time, we use a lot of props so that we can support ourselves and take care of ourselves as we move through the practice. Today, we're going to focus on hamstrings. That's just a great, body part that often gets tight, and a nice lengthening and stretch for the hamstrings is always good. So we're going to focus on the backs of our legs. We like to start in seated in our practice. So as you're getting comfortable, let me just show you what we'll be using for our class today. If you have something soft to sit on, like a blanket that you can fold, that's always great. We do some work on our hands and knees, so just having something soft for your joints, your wrist and your knees, that's always nice. And then maybe a couple of blocks, yoga blocks, or something that you can stack, something like this, even just a couple of dictionaries or just some hardback books. So we'll be using those, and we will be using, at least I'll be using, a yoga strap or anything that resembles a yoga strap. It can be a belt or a tie, anything like that. A jump rope is always a good prop that you can use. So we'll be using that for our hamstring work today. And a bolster like this, or just a big pillow. These are nice firm cushions. You can even grab one from your sofa. That would work great. And off camera, you can't see it right now, but I may bring in, if I don't forget, I have a chair, just something just with a seat. Like it could be a stool or a chair. Now, you don't have to have one. I'm just going to show you how you can use one for one of our poses today. All right, so go ahead and find that comfortable seat. You might sit on your blanket or pillow. I like to sit kind of propped up. It just gets my hips in the right place, feels good on my back. I can sit up nice and tall. You might start with a few deep breaths in and out. Feel free to breathe in through your nose. You can breathe out through your nose or through your mouth. If you breathe out through your mouth, you can exhale with a nice soft sigh. You might even feel your body begin to relax. Let your shoulders just really hang heavily down. Even give them a little circle if that feels good. If there's any stiffness in your neck, you might just move your head gently, maybe side to side like this, ear to shoulder, or just nodding yes and no. Just something very gentle and easy, really just setting the tone for our practice. Like I said, I like to break down our postures, going step by step so that we can really be mindful of our bodies. And I try to give enough modifications and variations of poses so that you can move well in your practice and have a great benefit at the end of your practice. So just continue to breathe in and out. Just slow, steady breaths. Feel free to close your eyes, or you might just be gazing forward or downward. Allowing your body to come to stillness. Even your mind comes to stillness. We can quiet the chatter in our brains just by breathing a little louder, more deeply, and just focus on that. Very good. Slow, steady breaths. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths at your own pace. After that, we'll begin our moving meditation. While moving at the pace of your own breath, inhale and extend your arms out across the room, reaching up, right up to the sky, finishing the full breath in. And then as you exhale, extend your arms out and let them float back down by your side. We're going to continue this very gentle movement together. And inhale to reach out. And as you reach, feel that stretch quality. So there's some effort as you extend your arms and reach out and up. Same on the exhale as you bring your arms outward, reaching for the walls on either side of you and then back down by your side. Just continue to breathe and move at your own pace, and I'll continue to provide some instructions. Inhale, reaching high, going at your own pace. Nice stretch there at the top. Now, as you exhale and bring the arms down, let's add another sensation. You're going to draw your navel inward towards your spine. Basically, you're just flexing your abdominal muscles. Again, as you inhale, reach high, feel that lengthening sensation through your arms, the sides of your body, lengthening through the spine. And exhale, pull belly in. Doesn't have to be too strongly, just an awareness of your center. As you're moving in slow motion, just notice these sensations and what arises. As you extend your arms into the air, maybe notice your shoulders, perhaps your active hands and fingers. Remember, as you bring the arms down, you're exhaling and just feeling that light contraction of your abdominal muscles. Excellent. Finish the breath that you're on and take one more breath. And when you complete that breath, just let your arms rest down by your side or in your lap, feeling your body relax once again. Take a few more breaths. While still seated, just bring your hands behind you. You might lean back onto your palms or even just to your fingertips. And as you bring the arms back, also feel the shoulders pull back. You might need to actively pull the shoulders back just a bit there, just so you can feel that your shoulders are behind your chest. Your heart is forward. You might even tip your chin up just a little bit. Staying here, we're in a mild back bend. We're just going to add more sensation with breath. Inhale, press into the ground with your fingertips or palms. Feel your breath rising upward to fill up your lungs. You may feel this expansiveness right across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. So a deep breath in. As you exhale, still pull belly in towards spine, that light contraction. Again, inhale, fill up your lungs. Feel the expansiveness in your chest. Exhale, pull belly in, and you might even pull the shoulders back a little bit more, perhaps even squeezing shoulder blades together behind you. And again, we're in a mild seated back bend or a heart opener, just providing and creating space in the front side of the body. Take two more breaths. And after your second breath, just lower your chin so you're looking directly forward. Walk your hands towards yourself, even place them in your lap if you'd like. And let everything just come back to neutral. Take a breath. All right, since we did a back bend, we like to take a forward fold. Here, if your legs are crossed, you can uncross your legs. Place the soles of your feet together, something like this. Your knees will be bent. They might be even lifted away from the ground. And if that's the case, this is where those blocks or books might come in handy, or even some soft pillows. Just kind of tuck them underneath the legs like this so your legs can really just rest, actually relax very nicely on the blocks. That way it doesn't feel like the legs are just kind of hanging out there in space. They're actually touching something, which really sends a signal to the brain saying, oh, my legs are resting on something. That means they can relax. And this will involve a nice inner thigh stretch and hip opener. Just hold on to your shins. You're going to inhale to sit up as tall as you can, looking forward. We're going to exhale again, pull belly in gently and start to hinge forward from the hips just a little bit. And you're leading with your heart and your chin. Again, not too far at all. And that's kind of the dynamic I like to express in this particular class, is that we're not moving too quickly into any of our poses. Mainly, we're trying to go slowly, take our time without stressing out the body. And in doing so, we might even be able to get deep into a pose. So we're going to stay here for a few more moments. Again, with a nice inhale to extend the spine at this angle. Exhale, pull belly in for support. Hinge forward a tiny bit more, still leading with the heart and chin. And just continue at your own pace. Now you can stop at any time. Now you might even stop where I am. I'm not even low, very low at all, but I can feel this in the inner thighs. I certainly can go a little bit lower, but again, I'm not going to push, just a little bit more. You can even start to round your back and relax your neck by just lowering your chin a little bit. This might create some new sensations in your body. You might even find that you can go a little bit deeper into this fold. Just continue to be very aware. That's the real intention of our whole yoga practice, just to bring a greater awareness to yourself. Breathe deeply. And if you happen to be low enough with your back slightly rounded and your chin lowered, see if you can take a deep breath, but breathe into your back. Breathe into your upper back. Just as when we were leaning back into that back bend, we're breathing into the chest space. Now that we're folded forward, see if you can breathe into your back space. Just using more of your lungs, the greater capacity of your lungs. All right, just 2 more breaths here in this hip opener. And one nickname for this posture is cobbler's pose. Now, if your back is rounded, we'll lift the chin looking forward. That will start the re-extension of your spine. Maybe place your hands on your mat to help press and lift yourself up into your nice and tall in your seat. Once again, just come back to stillness. Hold for a breath or two. All right, if you're using props underneath your legs, let's go ahead and remove those and just set them to the side. We're going to swing the legs around behind us. Just take your time as you reposition yourself to your hands and knees. Take your time with all of that. This is where you might want to use your blanket. Maybe you were sitting on it for that first portion of our class. Now you can use it for some cushion for your knees and your wrists. I'll unfold my blanket into a rectangle, and so I can easily come to hands and knees here. 2 poses that flow together. Inhale, lifting your head or looking forward with a slight arch in your back is called cow pose. It's a minor back bend. We'll exhale and round it all out. Pull belly button up towards your spine. Let your chin tuck in towards your chest. This is cat pose. And then just continue this gentle flow. Inhale to look forward. Feel the pelvis tip back, which creates that arched back. Exhale, round it all out. Actively pull belly button up towards spine. Feel the curvature in the spine. And just continue at your own pace. Now, again, even with these postures, they don't have to be too forced. They certainly don't have to move too quickly. Just take your time, noticing all the subtle sensations within. Even feel free to add any extra movements to this. You can just stay in this classic movement of the pose, cat and cow. You might feel like you want to circle your hips, just add some extra movements, even sit back into perhaps child's pose. And that might even take a little rest and off the wrists, a little pressure off the wrist if you need a quick little break right there. So just any added sensations or movements if you'd like, in addition to the cat and cow flow. Let's take 3 more breaths together. Again, no rush. And when you're complete, just come back to this tabletop position. Just hold here for a moment. Maybe your gaze is just downward between your hands and just take a breath. We'll make our next transition. If you were using a prop like the blanket to kneel on, let's go ahead and crawl off the blanket. Let's set it to the side. Keep it handy because you might want to use it again. And return to your hands and knees. Let's move into downward facing dog. From here, you'll step your hands forward like so. And as you step them forward, I'd suggest spreading out your fingers as wide as they'll go. So you have the nice stretch between each finger. It also creates a very wide base for your hands. Press your palms into the mat or lean into the hands. Put some pressure there so it flattens the palms, so it actually stretches your hands. As you press into the ground, feel the energy and strength in your arms, straight as can be. Hold that sensation. You're going to tuck your toes behind you. Let's do cat and cow again. Again, starting with cow, it's an inhale to look up, slight arch in the back. Exhale, round it out, rounding the spine. Hold that sensation, cat. And then lift your knees off of your mat and then send your hips up into the air. This should guide you into an inverted V shape, downward facing dog. Now go ahead and adjust your feet if you need to, even your hands if you need to, just to settle into the pose. We're not going to be here too much longer. Here, look at the space between your hands and just start stepping forward up towards the hands, just to a place until your feet are firm on the ground. Now, this will be a deep forward fold. We're going to move out of that immediately. You're going to inhale and slide your hands way up the legs, maybe to your knees, maybe your thighs, so you can extend your spine so you're long like a table. Hold here if you're able. Keep a slight bend in the knees. So if your knees happen to be locked, just bend them a little bit. Feel an energy moving through the very top of your head, directly forward, and maybe through your hip bones or your tailbone moving to the back of the room. Now start to lean back into your heels just a little bit. Bend your knees, feel like you're about to sit down in a very low chair. Look forward. Take your arms out to the side as you're able and stand up nice and tall. Let's swing the arms all the way up into the air for a stretch. As you exhale, bring your arms down by your side. And once they're down, you're going to turn your palms forward towards me, just like that, open hands, which creates a natural rolling of the shoulder back, just to keep that nice opening through the chest for good posture. We're going to go through that half salute again. Basically, we're going to fold and come back up. Here we go. Let's inhale, reach into the sky. Nice big stretch. Exhale, spread your wings. Bend your knees, sit back into that imaginary chair. Coming down slowly, let the hands drop. Your head will start to drop. Maybe you'll touch the ground, but you don't have to. Inhale, slide your hands back up to the knees or thighs until your spine is straight and long. Hold here as you exhale. Now that exhale, we're still activating the belly. Pull belly button up towards spine. Even with a slight bend in the knees, do you feel a stretch or some activation in your hamstrings? Because I know I do. Even though my knees are bent, I can feel that my hamstrings are working. Lean back into the heels, bend your knees like you're going to sit, look forward, sweep your arms out. Let's stand up tall. Inhale, reach into the sky, another big stretch. Exhale, bring your arms back down by your side, spin the palms forward, mountain pose, good posture. Let's hold here for just a couple of breaths. Just returning to that sensation of breathing in and out, keeping your body and mind and spirit right here in the moment. We're going to go ahead and add on and move through a sun salutation. And even here, we'll break it down. Here we go. Inhale, reach all the way up. Big stretch. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair. Let the hands drop. Let your head drop. You'll get a natural curvature in the spine. Inhale, slide your hands back up to the knees or thighs. Feel that tabletop posture. Now on the exhale, bend your knees a whole lot. Come back down towards the ground until you can bring your palms to the ground. Then you can walk or step both of your feet back. Take your time with that until you're in plank pose like this or a high push-up position. Strong body.
Breathe in as you feel length through the entire system. As you exhale, bend your knees a little, then send your hips into the air. This is our return to downward facing dog. Now, again, you might want to tiptoe forward a tiny bit, just one step or two, and maybe take the hands out a little wider. Let's hold for a couple more breaths in our downward facing dog position. We'll add on. From here, you're going to inhale, lift your right foot off the ground and extend the leg back, reaching back through your toes to the back of the room. It doesn't have to lift high. Just lift and extend. As you exhale, bend that right knee. Bring your knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin as your body shifts forward, and so you can see that your shoulders are aligned over your wrists. And then just set the right foot down onto the ground. Then set your left knee onto the ground. You're going to take your right hand, reach back, pick up your right foot, and place it up a little higher on your mat. We're going for a lunge. Relift that left knee. So you'll be like this in a runner's lunge. Your weight might be forward on your hands. That won't work very well for us to stand. So we need to shift the weight back. Pull your hips back towards the back edge of your mat until your hands feel a little bit lighter. I can easily pick up my hands. There's no weight on them now. I like to rise to fingertips to feel some extension of spine initially. Then walk your hands up to your thigh, push into your thigh to lift a little higher, maybe right here for a 45-degree angle. Let's pause for a moment because let's activate that back leg by pushing through the left heel. You might even feel that in your calf. Now, if we want the belly to pull in for strength, that's an exhale. Squeeze your legs towards each other, even though they're apart. Just feel them squeeze towards the center. Now extend your arms out to the side, rise up, reach into the air, look directly forward. As you reach high, now lunge low. Just a little bend of that back knee. Now, it's okay if you waver or even lose your balance a little because we are in what I call a balancing lunge position. But if you keep squeezing your inner thighs together, that might help with the balance. Now we're going to lift up out of that deep lunge. Turn to your left as you turn the left heel to the ground. Arms will come down to parallel, reaching out over the legs. Be sure your right knee is pointing directly forward with a nice bend. Hold for a moment here. Really reach through the hands initially. Now bring your hands to your hips, just so your shoulders can relax a little bit. We're going to change our leg posture. We have a right knee lunge, and this is warrior 2, but we're going to move into triangle, because triangle is our hamstring stretch. So just basically extend the right leg, just straighten the right leg here. With your hands on your hips, feel like you're pushing your pelvis down towards the ground as you just feel the torso get a little taller. That's an inhale. Then you exhale, we're going to tip over. Now, I like to imagine maybe like you're holding on to a bucket of water and you're tipping that bucket to pour out the water down towards the right set of toes. All right, now you can stay like this with hands on hips, or you can even extend the arms. Maybe right hand reaches down while the left hand reaches up. And you don't have to go down too low for this. So yeah, if your right hand is up by your knee or thigh, that's perfect. You can certainly go a little lower, gently do so if you choose to do so. Noticing what's happening in the right hamstring. You might feel sensations in other parts of the body, your hips, certainly your arms since they're extending. Now to come out of this posture, we're going to start by bending the right knee a whole lot. Bend the knee maybe towards 90 degrees. Bring your upper body back up, coming back through a warrior 2, and then reverse your warrior. Take your right hand up into the air. Hold that extension because we're going to re-lengthen the right leg. Just straighten the right leg again. And see if that adds an additional stretch through the right side of the body. Inhale, reach a little higher. Now, as we exhale, bend the right knee again. Now, windmill. So you're just going to bring that left, like you're doing a cartwheel. The left hand comes up and around. Turn your body towards the floor. Bring your hands to the ground next to your right foot. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. Right, once again to our runner's lunge. Push into the ground with the hands. And if you can, just feel your hips lift up. They may not lift very high, but feel like they're lifting up. So it takes some of the weight off the right foot so you can slide or step it back into plank pose. As you exhale, bend the knees, send your hips into the air. This is our return to downward facing dog. Make some adjustments with the feet and or your hands. Let's inhale now to extend left leg up into the air. I'm not concerned about the height of the leg. It's more about the extension of the leg. Reach. Inhale again. Exhale, bend your left knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chin or chest, shifting your upper body forward until your shoulders are over your wrists. Set your left foot down. Set your right knee down. Pick up your left hand so you can reach back, pick up the left foot, and place it up a little higher on your mat. Replace your hand. Let's lift the right knee. Here we are in that runner's lunge. If the weight is forward, that's not conducive to lifting. We need to send the weight and energy of the body back, moving your hips towards the back edge of the mat. And just notice how now your hands are lighter. Rise up to your fingertips initially. And now bring your hands up to your thigh. Use your thigh as leverage to push, to lift upper body to this 45-degree angle. Now we have this nice straight line through the whole back body, and of course down through that back leg. Feel that anchoring effect by pushing your right heel towards the ground. Maybe you'll feel that in your calf muscle. Okay, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other as well as pull belly in, helping to stabilize the posture. Sweep your arms out to the side, then up into the air as you look forward. Reach up and lunge a little deeper, just by bending the right knee and left knee a little bit. Hold here as best as you can. We're just practicing some balance. We're going to rise up a little bit, pivot the right heel to the floor as you turn to the right. Arms come down to parallel, reaching across the room. So your arms are horizontal to the ground. Really reach actively. You'll feel that in the arms all the way out. Now relax the arms by bringing hands to your hips. We're getting ready for triangle. So we're extending the left leg. Now what you could do, you may have noticed I did it the first time, I even brought the feet in a little closer to each other. And that might even help the balance. So if you need to, step the feet in a little closer as you extend this left leg. Nice and tall. Use your hands to push your pelvis down. Stand up a little taller. Remember, you're holding onto that bucket of water. We're going to tip that bucket as you exhale and pour that water down toward your toes. So you don't have to go too far for this. Hands on hips, if you keep them there, will maybe keep the body stable, but you're certainly welcome to extend the left arm reaching down towards the thigh or knee, and in your right hand up towards the ceiling. You can stay up as high as you'd like, but maybe with a few more breaths, you're going to go a little bit lower. Now, if your feet were a little farther apart or much farther apart, and you had more flexibility, perhaps in the hips, in your hamstring, this left hand could probably touch the ground. All right, to come out of the pose, we're bending the left knee, a nice deep lunge. So we have leverage to come back up, pass through a warrior two into a reversed warrior by taking the left hand up into the air. Reach straight up and then re-extend the left leg. So straighten it out and just notice if that adds a little bit more stretch through the left side of your body. I really feel this kind of right below the rib cage, right at the belt line. Inhale, reach a little higher. As you exhale, bend that left knee again. And then that windmill or a cartwheel. Bring the right hand up and around. Fold, bring your hands down to the ground in front. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. Here's our runner's lunge. Push strongly into the ground with your palms, lifting your hips to lighten the load of the left foot so you can slide it back into plank pose. Hold for a moment here. That's for strength. I like to hold this posture for our strength posture. Now bring your knees to the ground. We're going to take a seat. So bring the knees down, sit back and off to the side. We're going to swing the legs around to the front.
We're going to do our seated forward fold in a moment. This is where you might want to use a strap. Now, another thing I like to do is I like to sit on the edge of a blanket here. Like I said earlier, it just gives my hips a little bit of a lift, and I'm able to lengthen my spine just a little easier if I'm just sitting right on the edge of it. And then I can extend the legs. Before we go into the forward fold with the strap, let's take staff pose, where you'll just place your hands on the ground right by your hips. You'll push into the ground just to assist your own body, lifting up nice and tall. Now, if your shoulders feel hunched forward, just roll them back, maybe even squeeze shoulder blades together and pull belly in. Now, I like that mode of action because we're supporting ourselves in two crucial places, the low belly and the upper back. Very stabilizing. Couple more breaths here. This is called staff pose, like a stick. All right, let's get ready for our forward fold. Now, here's where you can use the strap if you like to use one. I'm just unrolling mine. I'm just going to lasso the feet, so I'm just going to get the strap around the bottom of the feet and just hold on to the ends. Now, just as we're pressing the hands into the ground to help sit up tall, you can do the same by holding onto the strap with a tug. So if you tug the strap, you might be able to sit up a little taller. Again, roll the shoulders back. Here we go. We're going to inhale, sit up tall, little tug of the strap. Exhale, pull belly in, squeeze shoulder blades together. Another tug of the strap to send your heart forward, just a tiny bit toward your toes. If you need to adjust your hands on your strap, please feel free to do so. So another inhale to lengthen the spine at your new angle. Exhale, pull belly in, pull the strap gently, lead with your heart and chin. As it feels like, or imagine if you're sending your heart out over your toes, past your feet. That will keep the spine long initially. Now you can just stay like this with any of our poses. You don't have to go too far or too deep. But if you'd like, either holding onto the strap or even releasing the strap, whatever you choose, hands can even support your body by placing them on the ground, and even allow your back to round, lower your chin if you choose to do so. Another thing you can do, if your legs are absolutely straight, and that's impinging on either the knees here, or you just can't fold as much as you want to, then just bend the knees. Put a good bend in the knees and maybe, I can fold a little bit more. Walk your hands down the strap. Maybe you can release the strap and hold on to your ankles or your toes. So this is really up to you on how far you are able to go or where you want to go. Remember, you don't have to force this. If you're struggling and pulling yourself, just be mindful of that and then just soften up. And I would suggest maybe just coming out of the pose a little bit so that the body can relax. Let's hold here a little bit longer. Two more breaths. Or if you're holding onto the strap, you go ahead and release the strap, maybe placing hands on the ground, and just press into the ground to help hinge your way back up until you're nice and tall. And once you are tall, let's go back to staff pose. So your hands might come down by your hips, just push into the ground and feel like you're lifting upward towards the sky. Shoulders can roll back. Just take a breath. All righty, go ahead and relax. We'll set the strap to the side. We're going to be coming back to a seated position a little bit later, okay? But let's go through another flow. All right, let's go ahead and just lean to one side and maybe you're going to go back to hands and knees. So just swing the legs around. You can use your blanket for padding if you want. But we're going to be moving right away to down dog. So maybe first hands and knees.
Maybe a quick cat and cow just to get that nice undulation in the spine, keeping that nice mobility through the spine and pelvis. And then when you're ready, step your hands forward, spreading out the fingers. Press into the mat, strong arms. Tuck your toes. Another cat and cow. Inhale for cow. That's the back bend, look forward. Exhale, round it into cat. Stay there, lift your knees and your hips, downward facing dog. Adjust the feet and hands. Whenever you're ready, no rush. Inhale, extend your right leg up behind you. Reach back. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest. Shifting your body weight forward. Maybe your foot can make it all the way up close to the hand. If not, just pick it up like you did earlier. We're shifting the weight back. Moving the hips back so the hands and fingertips are light. Walk hands up to your thigh, press into the thigh to lift to 45 degrees. Let's create our anchoring by pressing that left heel back. We're towards the ground, squeeze inner thighs towards each other, pull belly in. Swing your arms out to the side, rise up nice and tall, reach up and lunge low. We're not going to be here too long. We're going to lift up to unlock those hips, turn that left heel to the ground. You'll turn sideways as well. Bring your arms down to parallel. Let's pause again in our warrior two. Let's keep the arms extended. You're going to extend the right leg. So straighten the right leg. Hold here. Now you're going to turn your right foot so it matches the same direction as your left foot. All right, hold there for just a second. I call this a star shape. Now we're going to do a wide-legged forward fold. But first, go ahead and relax your arms. You can just bring your arms by your side or even to your hips. Stay right there. Now, if you want to, this is where I was going to use the other prop. I'm going to walk off camera for a second and just bring in a chair. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. Now you can use a chair if you don't want to go all the way down towards the ground, or maybe some stacked blocks on the mat. Okay, or you may not need these props at all. This is just an idea, okay? Because you may not need this at all. So we're going to come back to our star shape. So just match where I am. We're going to inhale, reach out with the arms. Feel tall as you exhale. Pull belly in, bend your knees, and start to fold. Now, usually we would just fold and bring the hands down to the ground. Maybe you don't want to go down that low. Maybe the hands just come down to the seat of your chair. Or maybe bring the elbows down to the seat of your chair if you can go a little lower. And then just take the feet a little wider. This can be your posture, just like this. You just have this nice support from the seat of the chair. But of course, you can always, I'm just going to move my chair back for a second. You can always just bring the hands all the way down to the ground, or even a stacked set of books. But that chair seat's quite nice, because then you can kind of relax the upper body and just let the legs do the work. As far as getting that nice stretch, you can probably hold here for quite some time. We'll hold for several more breaths, just knowing that we're going to be doing this again because we're going to go to the other side. Okay, because we're going to go through that whole little lunging sequence on the other side and do another forward fold. Noticing the sensations in the backs of your legs. And even kind of take a quick snapshot, a mental snapshot of your own body, just noticing how wide the feet are. Because maybe the second time that we're here, we can take the feet a little wider. All right, now if you're on your elbows on your chair seat, maybe come back up onto your hands. Just press into the seat, extending through the spine. Now, if your weight is forward in the chair, we need to shift the weight away from the chair back into the heels of the feet. I'd suggest bending the knees. Maybe then take the arms out to the side, away from the chair. Let's stand up, return to your star shape. Just like that. All right, I'm gonna need to change my body position because we were doing so we were here. So just turn the right foot forward on your mat, lunging in our return to warrior two. Just like this.
And then from here, so right foot forward, we'll windmill, bring the left hand up and over, turn, bring your hands down to the mat all the way, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you, press hands into the ground, lifting the hips to slide the right foot back, plank pose. Hold for strength. Bend the knees slightly, lift hips into the air for downward facing dog. Let's do our lunging sequence on the other side. Inhale, extend the left leg up into the air, just simply lifting the foot and extending the leg. Exhale, bend the left knee, bring it in towards chest or chin, shifting body weight forward as you're able, foot up near the wrist of your left hand. Shifting the body weight back so you can easily rise up to fingertips. And look, I just happen to have this chair right here. You can even use a chair to help press yourself up. How convenient is that? Okay, hands on the thigh, extending that back leg. I'm just pushing the right heel towards the ground. Make sure there's a nice spinal extension at this 45-degree angle. Squeeze inner thighs towards each other, pull belly in. We want to make sure everything is steady and strong. Extend your arms out to the side so you can rise up, look forward, reach up into the air, bend both knees a little for your lunge. We're lifting up a little bit so we can pivot right heel to the floor. You'll turn sideways. Bring your arms down to parallel. Here's our warrior two. Let's arrive in warrior two. Feel the posture. Then extend or straighten the left leg. Turn your left foot so it matches where your right foot is pointing. And this is our star shape. All right, so this is getting ready for that forward fold. Okay, so I'm going to turn sideways again and bring in my chair. You can do the same if you want to. So same thing. Inhale, reach out with the arms feel tall. Exhale, pull belly and bend your knees and start to fold. Take your time. And just bring your hands down to the seat of the chair to catch yourself. Stay there if that feels just right for your backside, or maybe come down to elbows. Now, remember, your body's been here already, so it's already been introduced to this pose. So maybe taking the feet a little bit wider, doesn't have to be much, just to add a little bit more sensation to the legs. Now, I love a wide-legged forward fold like this, because it's not only hitting the hamstrings, but it's getting the outer portions of the legs as well as the insides of the legs. Some deep breaths here. Staying here as long as you need to. And again, if you're using the support of the chair, you can probably hold this posture for a good amount of time. How about 3 more breaths? If you made it to your elbows on the seat of your chair, just come back up onto your hands. You might be leaning into the chair. So we need to lean away from the chair, get the weight back towards your hips and your heels. If your knees are locked, bend your knees. It's almost like you're sitting or almost squatting a little bit. That way you can take your hands off the chair, take them out to the side, and then rise up, returning to your star shape, extending out through the arms. All right, I need to move my chair, returning to my original position. So we're doing that left leg lunge. So turn the left foot forward, lunging into your warrior two. And then we're in a windmill. Bring the hands down to the floor in front. Step back into plank pose. Hold. Maybe holding a few seconds longer just to add a bit more strength. And then we'll set the knees onto the ground. We're going to take another seat. So go ahead and take your seat. I'm just sliding my chair out of the way. I'm just going to face you for this one. Now we are going to extend the legs out in front again. I'm going to use a blanket to sit. Now you may not need the strap this time for this style of forward fold. But we are going to start in staff pose. So the legs will extend out front, hands on the mat by your hips. push into the ground, sit up as tall as you can. Take a couple of breaths here. And now we're just going to kind of mimic that wide-legged forward fold, standing forward fold that we did with the chair. Relax a little bit. I'm going to mirror you. You're going to take your right leg and take it over to like 2 o'clock. Okay. And if you want to stay there, stay there. Or if you're able, maybe closer to 3 o'clock. It doesn't have to go all the way to 3 o'clock, but if you can, take it all the way to 3 o'clock. And then your upper body, you might want to place your hands on the mat to kind of lift a little to adjust your seat, but just turn your torso so it's directly facing right in between the legs and feet. All righty? Maybe place your hands in front on the mat or even behind you. That's fine there on the mat as well too, just to help support and lift your spine. Actually, let's go ahead and do that because I like that way a little bit better because it'll keep the spine nice and strong. If you place the hands behind you, you can roll the shoulders back, maintaining a lengthened upper body. So breathe in, exhale, pull belly in, and start to hinge forward. Same thing, leading with the heart and chin. Even just a little bit is fine. Now, if you start to go a little deeper, you might need a little bit more support. So you can keep one hand behind you and maybe one hand in front of you just to support yourself. Or you might want to bring both hands in front, especially if you decide you're going to go a little deeper. And of course, you're welcome to round the spine a little bit. We're not going to be here too long, but it's just a nice variation of that standing forward fold, that standing wide-legged forward fold. Now we in our seated wide-legged forward fold. Just to keep the legs energized, you might flex the feet, but you can also bend the knees. That might allow you to fold a little bit deeper. Now I can go down pretty far, but I have to remember this is just a soft flow class. So there really is no need to go too far to experience the full benefit of the pose. Let's just take 3 more breaths. And if your hands are behind you, maybe bring them in front of you so you can push into the ground, even if your back is rounded, which is fine. Just press so you can lift yourself up until you're nice and tall. Re-extend spine. Here is where you can reposition hands behind you again, push into the ground to feel the extra length in the torso. And of course, we're going to do the other side. It's going to be the exact same pose. So maybe just lean back a little bit so you can just bring that right leg back to center. Return to your staff pose. I like to kind of lift just to readjust my hips a little bit on the ground. And then we'll do the same with the left leg. Maybe take it out to 10 o'clock or maybe over to 9 o'clock. So just forming that nice right angle. And then maybe lifting hips to adjust, turning your torso so it's facing directly between the feet. Hands behind you, push into the ground to lengthen spine, shoulders naturally roll back. That's an inhale. Exhale, push into the ground a little bit behind you to help hinge forward. Lead with your heart and chin just a little bit. Even pause here. Even if you know you can go deeper, stay here for a few more seconds before going a little deeper. Now, of course, we've already been in this pose, both in standing and in sitting. So there's probably some more space you've created. You can even widen that V shape with the legs. Start to fold a little deeper, but taking your time. 1 hand or 2 hands in front, just to help support your body. If you can't get all the way down or not down far enough that you would like to, hey, bring in a pillow or a couple of blocks. Again, maybe just resting elbows on that prop. Just another nice way to support the body. Again, flexing the feet, legs can stay straight, or place a slight bend or a significant bend in the knees as you need to. And of course, yes, the back can round, the chin can lower, And once again, just return to the awareness of your breath. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Perhaps bringing both hands to the front here so you can push into the ground to help lift yourself up, even if your back is rounded. Nice and tall. Bring the hands behind you so you can push into the ground. Shoulders can roll back. This should allow you to sit up nice and tall once again. All right, let's swing that left leg over to center again, meeting the other leg. Adjust your hips if you need to, a little lift and resit. Staff pose, hold. Very nice. All right, go ahead and relax the body. We're going to lie down. So you might want to have your props handy that you like to use for a lying down position. That might mean something soft underneath you for your back and your head, some pillows, your blocks. And once you're down, you're going to lie down with your knees bent, feet flat on the ground, and just relax here. Now, although we were focusing on the hamstrings, this also had an effect on your back, okay, because you had to sit up tall. That certainly took your back muscles to sit up tall. So now you can just feel the back muscles relax. Once you feel that ease return to the body, go ahead and bring both knees to chest. Just hold onto the knees in your hands and just add some movement here. I like to do circles here just as a nice massage for the low back and the hips a little bit. So just small circles. Here's another thing I like to do. So I've got both knees at first just kind of hugging in directly up towards the chest and create the circle. And then I like to take the legs wide, separate the legs way out wide. And then imagine like I'm pedaling a bicycle, okay? And so just pedaling the bicycle, and that's also getting into the hips. I'm just holding onto my knees to support the legs as they pedal in space. That's just something that I like to do. It's nothing really yoga related, but it's just a nice hip movement. But then here we can move into happy baby pose. The legs can stay wide, but then send your feet up towards the ceiling by holding on to the soles of the feet if you're able. If you can't reach the bottoms of your feet, hold on to your ankles or anywhere on your legs, and you'll be in a posture similar to this. Nice little hip opener. Always nice to get into the hips. They also can get a little tight, just like our hamstrings. Perhaps another breath or two in this hip opener. We'll do one more. We'll go into reclining cobbler's pose. So you might bring the soles of your feet together and then set the feet onto the ground. The feet are still touching, but just bring them down to the ground and the knees are open. Now we did the seated version of this, and in the seated version, we use those blocks or pillows, right? And tuck them underneath the knees. Now, if your blocks or other props are nearby, go ahead and bring them in and tuck them underneath the legs if you'd like, just an option really. And again, it just sends that signal to the brain saying, oh, my legs are resting on something. They can just relax here. And it just takes that tension away from the inner thighs. We'll just hold here for a few more breaths. As you take the next few breaths, maybe think about the next pose you would like to do that would be completely relaxing for you. So we're moving right into the end of our class together, your final position, which could be Shavasana, which might mean just extending your legs straight out in front, arms down by your side. But since this is soft flow, we have the props. Feel free to use the props in any way to help support your body. And it doesn't have to be Shavasana, just some restorative position. For example, if this is restorative in this cobbler's pose, then stay here. Or, or maybe take a big pillow or a cushion and maybe tuck it underneath the knees like this. That might even create a little bit more relaxation in the legs, your back, and your hips. At least it does for me. Because sometimes just lying flat on your back, especially on a floor, on the ground, may not feel completely comfortable. Just placing a little bend in the knees with something tucked underneath is quite nice. So find your restorative posture, Shavasana. We'll hold here for the next few minutes. Continue to be fully aware of your breath. Notice your own breathing. And now that you've returned to your breath, take 5 slow, deep breaths. As you're breathing slowly, notice this new energy, new life starting to flow through your entire body. Feel movement return to your body as you're breathing. Then taking your time, certainly no rush, carefully roll onto either side of your body as you move into this nurturing pose. Once you're on your side, just take another full breath in and out. And after that breath, still moving in slow motion, guide your way up into a seated position. And feel free to sit comfortably, maybe cross-legged on your mat or propped up on a blanket or block. You'll just let your hands rest in your lap or bring hands to heart center. Take another full breath in to fill up your heart space, followed by a complete exhale. And as we come to the close of this portion of our journey together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me in this class. If you liked it, be sure to click that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming yoga classes. Thanks again. Take care. Namaste.